from the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau. Welcome to Focus on Southeast, a program on issues, events, and people impacting Southeast Missouri State University and the broader community. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Later on today's show, we'll get a recap from the recent Future Teacher Day event that was held on the campus, and we'll head over to the Seabaugh Polytechnic Building later to visit SEMO's fleet of drones. Our first guest is Dr. Donavant. He is chair of SEMO's Department of Criminal Justice, Social Work, and Sociology. He's here to tell us more about SEMO's 90-credit Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. Dr. Donavant, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
So this criminal justice 90-hour degree is kind of a new big deal. Tell us about it.
Well, it is a new big deal. We're actually the first program of this kind in the state of Missouri and even in the United States. We're the first one in criminal justice in the country. So this is really a kind of a new concept, but it just really streamlines the road to completion and graduation.
And it's usually 120 hours, but it's 90 for this one. And I guess, what are some of the reasons for doing this? I know there are several.
Well, there are. The biggest reason is to serve the students. When you look at traditional degrees that are 120 hours or 4 years, if you finish them on time, then a lot of those there's a general education block, which is all your math, your science, your English, things like that, and then there's the major block, but that usually doesn't take up the whole 120 hours. So students have to mix and match a lot of other elective hours to get to that point. It does give them an opportunity to maybe have a minor or some other courses that complement the degree, but a lot of students are still trying to find classes just to make those hours up, and that costs money and time.
I remember doing that back in the day, trying to fill in some stuff, especially that last year.
Yeah.
So they can get through school faster, which is a good thing when it comes to cost, right?
Right, absolutely. So at 90 hours, that knocks off an entire year. So you've got a year's less time, gets you ready for the workforce quicker.
Yeah.
You've got a year's less money that you have to pay, both in tuition and if you're living on campus, you've got those living expenses, things like that. But it gets you out there, actually into your career, getting a steady income coming in. So it saves a lot of money.
Now, if somebody listening says, "Oh, they went from 120 to 90," they're doing less. Is that a bad thing? I mean,
no,
it's not, right?
It's really not. And we do get that question a lot. We've actually strengthened the degree and the focus of study in criminal justice. We've added hours to the major. We've kept the general education, which is the same for everybody.
Right.
We added hours to the major, and we actually increased the depth and the rigor of many of those courses in the major, so that the students that go through this newer program get a more focused and a more in-depth course of study in the major that really prepares them even better for the career field.
Yeah, and it's in person and online, right?
Right. Students can come in person, or we also have a fully online option. So you can get the same degree either in person or online, or you can mix and match. So if a student wants to come in person, but maybe they have a scheduling conflict, or they have to work part-time or something like that while they're going to school, and they have that scheduling conflict, they can't meet that face-to-face class, they can do the class online.
I would imagine this would be good for folks who are really busy or have something else that they're trying to work on at the same time, folks that are already in a full-time career but want to explore criminal justice. It makes it flexible enough that they can do it, right?
Right. It works for students, because even what we call traditional students that are getting into their degree field to prepare for the career, they have to work. A lot of them have families, so they have some obligations there. But it also works very well for professionals that are already in the career field that want to come back and finish the degree.
Okay.
When you look at, and I'll just use law enforcement as an example, across the country, more than half of all law enforcement officers have some college but never finished that degree. So it gives a great opportunity for them to come back and finish.
Yeah. So let's talk about the need for some professions in this field, and what are some things that folks can do with this degree? I know there's a lot of different avenues here.
Okay. Well, when you look at the criminal justice degree, it serves the law enforcement community, correctional officers, both in institutional settings such as jails and prisons, probation and parole officers. There's a whole array, and a lot of our students are also preparing to go to law school. So it gets them ready for that as well. There's a lot of different majors you can use for law school, but we're one of those, especially if somebody wants to practice criminal law. So this is an opportunity for them, and it gets them into that next step much quicker. And there's a huge need in all of these areas for folks in the career field.
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunities, employment opportunities in these fields, right? There's just a need for people.
Absolutely. When I started I'm a former police officer. When I started my career, there were agencies that were having 200 or 300 applicants for every open position. And that's not the case anymore. Right now, agencies are really scrambling trying to find folks to fill the jobs.
And why is that? Is it just the change of the workforce? Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of different factors. You know, the pay is not, you're not going to get rich in any of these fields. You'll make a good living.
Yeah.
But then when you look at some of the things that have gone on in society and some of the concerns that are out there, and some of the reports have come in of some things that maybe didn't go the way they should have.
Yeah.
It's a challenging career field.
Yeah. Now, what are some of the things a student would do if they go through their program? What are some of the skills they might learn, or some things they might do as part of it?
So they're going to get everybody's going to get a broad overview of the entire criminal justice system and how it operates within society. But then we have courses that focus on research in the field, which assists with policy development. There are specific courses for policing, specific courses in corrections, specific courses in probation, parole, also victimology, how we serve victims of crime better, because that's a huge area, not just enforcing the law, but actually serving the victims of crime, the reasons that crime occurs, so helping develop policies and working with other elements of society to try to assuage some of those situations. So they're going to get a very broad exposure to this, and they're going to get some hands-on experience. We now require that all of our students take at least one course that gets them out of the classroom and into the field, whether that's an internship, maybe a directed research opportunity to really work hands-on with some research in the field. A travel study to go and see how maybe some of these things are done in other locations, either in the United States or even internationally. So all of our students have to do that. And as well as the police academy, we give credit for the police academy. So as students are working toward that and wanting to become law enforcement officers, for example, they also get credit for that academy experience that applies toward the degree.
That was going to be my next question. I guess having the academy here, that's a nice tie-in for this.
Right. We've worked for years with the academy and with other academies across the state, and even academies out of state. As you mentioned the online option. So if we have officers that have gone to an academy in another state, they can come in and bring that experience, get credit for it, and complete the degree online.
Real exciting stuff, and of course SEMO leads the way, which is always good news.
Absolutely.
Dr. Brian Donavant, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're off to see SEMO's drones. You're watching Focus on Southeast, and we will be right back.
What does it take to stand tall? To let curiosity take root? To let your dreams take flight? You have to be too stubborn to quit, too smart to fail. Forged with an iron will, raised on river mud and big dreams. You have to know when to dig in, because the Mississippi is wide, but your ambitions are wider. You have to be fearless, because the only thing to fear is your wasted potential. So go deeper, carve your path without permission. Turn your grit into greatness. Stand on a community who has your back. This is your small town with big ideas, where hometown pride makes a global footprint. This is where you find your fearless. This is SEMO.
This is Focus on Southeast. I'm Dan Woods, and I'm here with Andy Chronister. He is an instructor here in engineering technology, and we're calling him the drone guy for today. Andy, good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Showing us around. Let's talk about the drone program first. Give us an overall view of just the program.
Well, Southeast Missouri State University has the only drone bachelor's degree program in the state of Missouri. So we kind of are proud of that. We started the program in 2017, and so we have a full bachelor's degree program. We have a minor in drones. We have a standalone drone class called ET382, which students can take no matter what their major is. They can take the standalone drone course 382 and get the drone training they need to apply to whatever career field they're in. The minor, of course, is there for flexibility, so people can major in agriculture, TV film production, first responders, police academy, things like that, and then get that specialized training in drones. So.
Really cool stuff. Well, you have a couple of drones to show us, so tell us about what's behind us.
These drones are not the newest or highest tech. This is, we've got 6 of these. This is an M600, and it's just a heavy lift drone. These are older drones, probably 2018, 2019, but we carry a lot of sensors with this. And a drone without a sensor or a camera is kind of like a big toy. So right now I've taken the sensor off of this, but we have hyperspectral sensors, LiDAR, multispectral, thermal, a lot of different sensor types. And we teach a class called remote sensing, which helps students in ag and wildlife management, a variety of other disciplines, helps them understand what the sensors can do, and that's what we use these drones for.
Does a drone like this have a built-in camera already, or is the camera something you have to add for it to?
This drone was built without a camera, so it is completely blind to the outside world, and it does not have collision avoidance sensors, so it is completely unaware of its surroundings. It does have GPS.
So news organizations use drones more and more now to cover flooded roads and those kind of things. Would it be something this big, or would it be a bigger drone that was doing maybe news coverage?
Oh, news coverage, you're probably looking at something like this Mavic. This is a Mavic 3 Enterprise series, so Mavic is a very popular brand, or a popular model of drone from a company called DJI. DJI is the industry leader. The Mavic is a camera drone, and it is specifically designed to fly, get really good video or really good photos. And all of that information is transmitted to the controller, just one single controller like this, very well integrated, very easy to use, very powerful as well, because we could literally, we can program this drone to take off, fly a mission back and forth over an area, taking photographs or video, and then send that program to the drone, and then press a button. The drone will take off, fly the mission, land itself without any kind of intervention from the controller.
You can program it ahead of time.
Yes.
That's really kind of cool. So we talked about news coverage, but farmers use these too to like look at their crops and check for any disease. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, right?
Right. There are sensors like multispectral sensors. Multispectral sensors use infrared light to determine or help determine what the plant health is. Okay. And so if you have crops that look nice and vibrant and healthy, and then you look at something called normalized difference vegetation index, which is something you can do with multispectral, you look at that index and it shows that some of the plants are actually weak in state or under stress, and then you can go out in the field, find out what's wrong with the plant, and then treat whatever it is, if it's a insect, if it's a pest, if it's fungus, if it's some sort of nutrition problem, you can treat that on a spot basis instead of treating the whole field.
One more question I'm curious about drone usage. Can drones help with disaster recovery, surveying if something's happened to maybe after a fire, or I mean any kind of thing with emergency response kind of situation?
Fire and rescue use drones, even something as small as this. You can attach a loudspeaker and spotlights to a drone like this, and if there's somebody that's lost in a cornfield or in the woods or something like that, send the drone over the area and broadcast a message that says, "Follow the light." This drone will lead you to safety, and then take the drone in the direction of the responders. There's all sorts of applications.
Well, why don't, since we're in this really cool space, let's go over and talk about this flight simulator. Or
yes.
Let's talk about that and
all right.
go over that direction.
Okay.
I think that's cool to talk about.
All right.
So kind of tell us what we're looking at with these monitors here.
So first of all, this is the drone lab and the aviation lab. So we have a lot going on in here. We also have aviation simulators like this crosswind simulator, which moves all over the place and simulates landings when there's a nice crosswind. But then in the corner, what we have is a air traffic control simulator. So Southeast is working on adding an air traffic control program to Southeast. So we would be training air traffic controllers. And so this system simulates a typical air traffic control tower. You've got a station here for ground. You have a station here for the actual air traffic. You can have 2 controllers for the air and 2 for the ground. And so you can delegate, like this is the St. Louis airport that's being displayed here. But you literally put on a headset and you can hear the airplanes making their call outs where they are, and you can key the microphone and call out to an airplane and say, Southwest 347, clear to take off on runway 30 left, and they will respond to you and say, clear for takeoff on 30 left, Southwest 437. And then the plane will move out onto the runway and it'll roll down the runway and take off.
There's planes moving now. So it's very realistic as to what you would experience if you were an air traffic controller, right?
Yes, it is the most realistic simulator you have for air traffic control without actually being in the tower.
Fields that people can go into related to drones. There's a lot of them, right?
There are a ton of careers that involve drones. And my students, graduates from my program, have gone to work for sensor manufacturers where every day they are integrating or installing sensors on drones, or test flying drones, or trying to figure out how this sensor would fit on this drone and coming up with solutions. Others are working at Boeing in their drone division. I have one that is actually working on counter drone technology, literally mounting a kinetic weapon or gun, as we like to call it, onto a drone to shoot down other drones, which is pretty impressive to watch. You know, my students have worked with the police department, the sheriff's department, to provide security for the SEMO fair. There are just so many different fields that utilize drones where students can get a job in these fields.
So one of the things I'm curious about drones themselves, how durable are they? So if you hit something, I mean, are they easily repaired if you hit them? I mean, how does that look like?
One of the things we do in the program is if we damage a drone, we fix it. Or if it can't be fixed, it goes into the scrap heap. I believe we have 4 drones that have crashed, been repaired, are still in service. And so that is part of the program, is that you crash it, you fix it, and it's part of the design class, the design course. We literally will dismantle a drone, put it back together, from its component parts, and the students learn a lot about the components, how they are fit together and work together. We program drones, and so the drones are relatively durable, but most of the drones that are out there for commercial use have a lot of collision avoidance features. You do have to be careful, and it's important that people get the proper training to fly drones in the first place. There is a certification process to fly a drone. So if you want to fly a drone as part of your business, you have to have remote pilot certification through the FAA. One of the things we teach early on is the certification material, so that the students can very quickly get certified, start doing real work with the drones as they go through the classes. Okay.
Andy, thanks so much for letting us see the drones and giving us a tour today. We appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate you coming here.
This is Focus on Southeast. We'll be right back.
What does it take to stand tall? To let curiosity take root? To let your dreams take flight? You have to be too stubborn to quit, too smart to fail, forged with an iron will, raised on river mud and big dreams. You have to know when to dig in, because the Mississippi is wide, but your ambitions are wider. You have to be fearless, because the only thing to fear is your wasted potential. So go deeper, carve your path without permission, turn your grit into greatness. stand on a community who has your back. This is your small town with big ideas, where hometown pride makes a global footprint. This is where you find your fearless. This is SEMO.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. The university recently held its annual Future Teacher Day to introduce school students from the area to the teaching profession. Buddy Alberson is Assistant Dean of Educator Preparation. He's here to give us a recap of Future Teacher Day. Hey, buddy, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thanks for being back on the show again. So this was the 5th annual?
5th annual. So this is the 3rd one I've been with since I've been here at Southeast.
So tell us, for folks who don't know about Future Teacher Day, tell us about the event.
The event's open to sophomores, juniors, and seniors in area high schools for those that show an interest in becoming an educator in the future. So it gives them the opportunity to come meet with faculty and staff here at Southeast in our educator preparation programs from elementary, middle school, secondary content areas, and also have the ability to speak to some of the students and the student organizations and just have an opportunity like we do at Show Me Days to give them a little bit more focused on education itself.
What was turnout like this year?
Turnout this year we had about an 80% attendance rate this year. We had about 210 registrants from individual people that registered from the schools, but we ended up having one school, they accidentally forgot, so they didn't make it. But I've also been working with like our charter school. I actually told them in our Live for Life at St. Louis that, you know, some schools from St. Louis can't make it down here. Yeah. I'm actually willing to take it on the road if I have to go up and see them.
Lay it on the road.
Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah. So how many different schools? Over 50?
There was over 50 different schools that actually registered that were from Southern Illinois, Southeast Missouri, and we had some schools from St. Louis did make it down.
That's pretty impactful for all those area schools.
Yes, and it just shows to me just how much, you know, education out there right now. I know it has a bad rap because, you know, you're not in it for the money because, you know, I was an educator. I didn't do it for the money. I did it for just being involved with the learning and the aha moments you see when the kids get something. So.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that students would have done while they were here on campus? It's a pretty full day.
It's a pretty full day. They come in, we start at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's usually a kickoff with me. And then the president was able to come bring welcome from the university this year. So this is his first one to get in the 10. Then we broke off into our educational tracks between elementary, early childhood, and special education was one track, and middle school and secondary was the other track.
Okay.
And the students got to learn from the chairs and the faculty in those areas. And then we also, towards the end of that, we moved them out to the patio or the ballroom where we had like a Show Me Day where the programs actually set up tables where students could go ask more questions, see degree maps of the programs, what it takes to be a part of the program.
Yeah, and I guess they get to meet faculty and talk to them about what's it like to be a teacher.
Right.
They
get to, they talk to us, and they also talk about, you know, the field experience, because we're really known for our field experience that our students come out with. That's why I feel we have a high quality program here at Southeast, is just because of the experience the students get in the classroom before they actually graduate.
And for folks who don't know, I mean, we send teachers to all these area schools, and that's where they learn and really do the, if you want to call it, on-the-job training in a true sense, right?
Yes. So usually that last semester, they're there for the full 16 weeks, immersed and actually helping teach the classes. And, you know, they have the mentor teacher and the cooperating teacher there to help guide them as they're actually taking over the classroom for themselves.
Yeah. There's probably no way to know how many teachers there are in Southeast Missouri schools that came through Southeast, that got all that training. I mean, I can't imagine how many thousands probably at this point.
The one thing it's been remarkable over the last few years that I've been here is seeing how many students actually have jobs before they even walk across the stage for commencement.
That's a good thing.
That is a very good thing.
Talk about teacher shortages. Do we still need teachers?
We still need teachers. There's shortages still here and everywhere in the surrounding states and everywhere else. And it's elementary, special education, all the way to PE. You know, we have shortages across the whole state, and pretty much, you know, when I talk to some of the students, like, you know, you're going into education, pretty much you're going to be able to find a job. If not here in Missouri, there's going to be a state somewhere that'll have a job available for you, because it's just a nationwide situation we're in right now.
So these students that come, I guess they've expressed an interest. Does this typically get them more fired up, or do you have situations where they're like, oh, I'm going to think about this a little more. There's more to it than what I thought. What's their response?
Well, the seniors are usually the more fired up ones because they really want to, they're about to graduate and they're wanting to figure out where they're wanting to go.
Yeah.
The sophomores, I think it takes a little bit more, but my thought was we need to hit them early. If they're really showing an interest in wanting to be an educator, I want to get them in here and actually start learning about our program so we can start messaging them, working with them to actually get them here to Southeast.
Yeah. So this was the 5th annual. I'm assuming there's going to be one next year. And you told me before we went on the air that you sort of tweak the program. I guess if there are changes or there are things people tell you, it'd be really nice if we could learn more about. You work that into this, right?
So after each Future Teacher Day, I sent out a survey asking them, hey, what if you attended, what did you like, what did you didn't like, what are some suggestions you might have for the next year? So the afternoon sessions with admissions and student financial services, that came from the surveys. They said, we would like to know more about how to apply to Southeast or how student financial services work for Southeast. So the afternoon session goes well with that. That's why it's like we end up doing the education tracks in the morning and doing the afternoon with the admissions and student financial services.
It really kind of ties it all together because when you first come to, we got about a minute, when you first come to a campus, it can be kind of daunting. It's a big place.
Right.
Where do I go for this? Where do I go for that? This really kind of helps them get prepped, right?
It gets prepped. They also get the chance to walk across the campus and have lunch at Towers Landing. So I mean, they get the experience of what it's like to be on campus as well.
And exciting stuff. All right, buddy. Well, I guess we'll talk about next year's, of course. We'll have you back because this seems like a great outreach for the university.
For the university and for our region, to work with our partner school districts.
All right, well, good for talking to you again. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media at Southeast Missouri State University. And just a reminder that you can find past episodes of this program at krcu.org and on KRCU's YouTube channel. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.